style, or is he just going to go for that, standard, just maybe he'll just play, Roaches, Ravagers, get Hydras, Lurkers, kind of what we saw last month, And that's another sign that the scene is pretty healthy, too, that the meta is changing. This is still a relatively still a very new expansion. So I love the fact that things are changing and Zergs are realizing, oh, Lurkers are good, but what's better? Banelings are better. You can drop them. The Overlord speed upgrade is, it's great for scouting, and you can just get one drop Overlord or two drop Overlords and do so much harass and then transition. It's just really cool to see these Zergs are, even the other races too, figuring new stuff out as we go.
Now looking at these two players, Losira was the king of MVP last season. He was playing the best games for the team. He was the MVP. He was the player that went out in the ace matches most of the time. But this season, he's only been fielded twice on his new team, KT Rolster. He's not as big of a star as the others. But on the other side, Creator has only been played. He's only been played once, and I can't even remember the game. It was a while ago now.
Must have been at the beginning of round one. I don't remember it either, man. And he's coming out here once again to try to prove himself. And if they're using him over SOS at this point, even to give him a chance up against KT, where they had a very, very, close match the last time, and KT obviously is a very strong team, they must have confidence in this guy. They're not just saying, oh, we're too well, we're just going to throw some rando out there and see how he does. No, they're like, okay, Creator, you practiced for this map, you're getting a Zerg, we trust you to do well tonight.
Losira is doing what he does best here with this pose. Monday Caster has faith that they have a reason here for Creator. And this is sometimes how I vote when I see someone like this. I'm like, Losira, I'm not so sure, but they're using Creator. He must be on fire right now.
Yeah, could be. But guys, let's jump into game number 2 now. Losira versus Creator. Down here in the bottom left, in the red, the Zerg player is Losira.
And up to the top right, in green, it is Creator. The former Prime player now turned Jin Air. And it says a lot. Basically, the team had to disband in order for him to join Jin Air. He has been on that team since he was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
When he first made his debut in the GSL Super Tournament, where he almost beat MVP, who was the king of the world at the time, and was long after that as well. And has had so much talent, is so young, and has now, years and years later, almost 5 years later, finally moved out of Prime to join a Caspa team. And his team is up 1-0 here. It's his first match in a long time.
Yeah. Definitely is, and he does get one vote, by the way. I want to talk about this. Chaser, the Monday Caster, once again going for the underdog here. I think you can say that Creator is the underdog, especially after Losira's performance in the GSL. He voted for Trap in the last game. He had, belief in that guy. Maybe he's just after yesterday, he's like, well, this is the week of upsets. Anything could happen. I am feeling the energy out of this guy, even though I know TY is really good right now. I don't care. I'm just going to vote for Trap. It seems risky, but I mean, it's working out. It seems he's getting these wins, and now voting on Creator. And you were talking about a little bit about your strategy, where it's like, we haven't seen this guy in so long. He must be coming out here for a reason. Yeah. Whereas Losira, he gets the win against Dark, but it's a different matchup. He was in an all-Zerg group with Dream in there, as well as 3 Zergs, 1 Terran. And it's a totally different matchup. It's Orbital Shipyard,
Yeah, this is the map where we've been seeing nothing but PVTs.
Yeah, every day.
So it's kind of weird. It leads me to believe that until Friday, when their rosters were released, both players were expecting a Terran or a Protoss, and then they got a Zerg, or in Creator's case, he's probably going, oh well, I expected maybe a PvP or a PvT. I got Losira, whereas Losira has somewhat of an edge here because we do actually, in fact, have a Protoss player up against him. So whatever he was planning when he chose this map will still be usable, will still be viable. But Creator, a very smart player, someone who knows how to take a situation like he only has a few days to prepare. He's got from Friday to Tuesday to get a build ready. And he is going to be going for Stargate, so taking a page out of Stats' PVZ right now. And everything Losira is doing is pretty normal. He does go double hatch before pool, so very economic.
No Overlord speed just yet. We'll see if he does commit to that. We saw that in nearly every game from Dark. It's fantastic for that scouting information, of course, but you can transfer that into, wow, really nice micro here actually from Losira to save one of those drones. But you can, of course, transfer that into a Baneling drop build too.
Yeah.
If you do want to go for that. So far, he's just relying on the slow Overlords, and he's going to get a quick lair out here.
Yeah, a very quick lair. And extra Overlords coming up as he's actually supply blocked right now. I don't know if maybe he's got some lair tech planned other than just Hydras. I think he's going to play this one a little bit more old school Legacy of the Void, going down the Hydra path. I don't think he's got a Nidus planned or anything like that, just based on what we see here. The Mutalisks are possible as well on this big map to harass, but there's not a lot of dead airspace. You can't really fly between the mineral lines very easily on this map. Like the mineral lines at the top of the map, you can get cut off there by Phoenixes or Stalkers even and get trapped. And then the third base, you're also exposed to Stalkers that were in the main base defending. It's just not a good map for Mutas, in my opinion. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that.
Especially with the Phoenixes coming out here, it's just like, even if I wanted to go Phoenixes or other Mutas, it would be kind of
it's counterintuitive
so good right now. Yeah. And of course he does see the Phoenixes out on the map with his Overlords. I think he's lost 2 so far. Didn't pull them back quite early enough. And the Phoenixes are coming over here to do some scouting information, try to snipe some more Overlords. We do have a Hydralisk Den on the way, so it does look like more of that standard style out of Losira. No Roach Warren just yet.
Yeah, just skipping it entirely here. And it is going to be, as you mentioned, the Hydras. Phoenixes will go in and look for the scout on this. And they will find it here if they just go a little bit further south. Hasn't seen it yet.
Not yet.
Saw the lair, and that's about it. A lift up here on a gas drone, so not a ton of harass here. Now he's getting more. He was distracted perhaps by this Ling run by that Zealot's on hold position for some reason, so isn't helping out, isn't doing his job. And a Hydra range coming up. These Phoenixes still don't know what they're up against, but they're going to continue to harass.
Yeah, who was it yesterday? I think it was Stark, actually, that went for a very fast Hydra build and just tried to attack with, like, Lings, Banelings, and Hydras and try to hit some timing. It didn't work out, as he did end up losing. I'm not sure if that was Dark who did that or some other Zerg, but I
Dark does that a lot, so, I mean, I think it probably was. Even if it wasn't, like, I can understand why your memory would think that, because that's what I'm thinking. Because he likes to do that style because the Banelings force the force fields to go down and the Hydras shoot over the force fields. They have good range, it's a good composition. If you miss your force fields or your Zealots get around them, you end up losing those. Queen steps a bit too far away from the Spore here and will actually be picked up and killed. Hydra's not ready yet. And because all these Hydras are all together here, as a few pop out, he can fight these Phoenixes, but they're not coming over quickly enough. And he ends up losing another Overlord. So Losira actually spending a lot of this game supply blocked because of the Phoenix harass. Yeah,
not the cleanest build so far, but he does have those Hydras now coming out, pumping off of 3 bases, and no sign of him wanting to get a 4th base either. He hasn't broken down the rocks. He hasn't had many units to do so yet, but it's mainly just only units here after 59 drones. Only Lings, only Hydras. And looking back at Creator's base, he doesn't have all that much outside of the Phoenixes. So maybe Losira was like, oh, you're going Phoenixes to start. This is a very standard build, but I've got a counter for that. It's rushing out Hydras with range and then going for an attack, breaking down your rocks, or maybe just coming from the right side, just going straight for the attack.
Yeah, and what he can do with this too is trade with the Hydras. They have such good range against all of these gateway units, then back off and make Lurkers. His Lurker Den is on the way right now. He's going to have quite a bit of Ling support for this attack as well. It's a really long map, and if he gets good force fields here, he can actually delay this, but he's very late on that, in fact, and we'll now have to take a straight-up fight.
Force Field's just going to delay the attack here from Losira, not going to cut off any of those Hydras as he begins to build a bigger and bigger army here. Not even going for a 4th base, he's going for a macro hatch at his 3rd. So here we go, attack coming down. Overcharges are not helping here as they get burst down really quickly.
Is really abusing Creator's building placement here as well, just kind of going to the side, avoiding the overcharge, then bursting it down when the gateway units move away. Meanwhile, he kills the gates, or rather, damages them and also controls the ramp. Creator's army here is way too small. Probes off the line here, and now he just kites back. Don't forget, the Lurker Den is almost finished. All these range Hydras are doing serious work to these Zealots and Adepts.
Yeah, look at the bank right now of Creator. 1,300 minerals, 1,200 gas. He's trying to pump out Immortals here desperately, and he does get one, a couple in a good position, and more force fields going down.
Yeah, the problem is there was not much of a reinforcement from Losira, so it looks like this attack will finally be cleaned up. And this was basically an all-in. He didn't make any probes. He was at 56 workers this entire time. I said probes, I mean drones. Of course he didn't make any probes. He's a Zerg player, but 14 Hydras just now being made. It looks like some indecision here from Losira. Like he couldn't quite figure out if he really wanted to commit there or not. And I totally understand the frustration because the rush distance on this map is insanely far away.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the reason why we do not see Zergs too often on this map. I mean, once this happens, your fourth base is not going to be in a great spot. You're either forced to go into an all-in like this, or you kind of just struggle in a macro game against a Protoss who's getting a really, really easy 3 bases. It looks like Losira did want to hit Creator before he had much of an army on those 3 bases, and it didn't quite work out.
Look at what Creator's doing. He hasn't scouted the Spire, but he's like, I think you're like saving, like where was the follow-up attack? Where were your reinforcements? You must have a big gas bank. He does, 1,300. I think he's like, you must be going mutas. It's a muta switch. That's what's happening here. He's starting a second Stargate. He's starting Phoenixes. He hasn't seen the Spire. He's thinking it's hidden maybe. He's like waiting for it, but it's not coming, you know? He thinks it's mutas, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a Nidus, in fact, is what it is. So let's see if he can identify this. This drop harass may give him a hint. It's going to be like a Lurker Nidus.
Lurker Nidus. Here we go. I mean, I suppose he could just use the Nidus for some harass while he defends with the Lurkers. He's got all of his Lurkers morphing over by the 4th base that he is taking. But
what a wonky game
here. Yeah, this is really strange, to be honest. More Zealots coming in here into the main, it looks like.
Yeah,
these slings are going to be cleaned up.
They're about to have charge, but they're still not going to see that Nidus network. He doesn't have vision of it. He hasn't scouted it, and that would be so important right now. Look at this Overlord, though, to the right side. He's not spotted it. There goes the Nidus. Creator needs to react here. He's moving his units back right now. Actually, no, he's not. Okay, he does finally move them back. He's got an Immortal here.
Just now does he recognize it, and here we go. The Lurkers are bunching up in there, and they are going to burrow down. A bunch of lifts coming down here as he does have detection. Yep. The Immortals coming in too, but that is a lot of Lurkers, and more Lings are pouring out of that Nidus.
Does he have detection, actually? I don't think he does.
I thought he did. Maybe, I guess he lifted before those Lurkers did get the full burrow off. So he doesn't have detection, and he's desperately trying to get out observers.
Yeah,
here.
He makes 2 observers, but actually one of his robos goes down. The second one is going down right now as well. He doesn't get the observer. Okay, here comes one. He's got it now. It's his only observer. Warp Prism goes down as well. This is an insanely good position, and unfortunately for Creator, he just did not see this. I like the DT defense, though. Very smart.
Where is the Overseer? He needs an Overseer with this, just to knock down the DTs, but also the observers. So no detection for Losira, in fact, and everything gets cleaned up.
What a crazy game here. The Nidus will go down. Those Hydras sneak in right before. Dark Shrine MVP of this game. Creator did take a lot of damage, though, and he's actually down 20 workers. However, he has that 4th base up right now to the left side of the map. Something he can use. He can make 4 probes at a time. He can get that probe count back up. This game is not over by any means, and it's hard to really say who's ahead. Creator has a huge mineral bank, so that's something he's got going for him. Let's see if he can hold on to this base. He moves over his Archons here. I think he should be fine on defending this.
Yeah, these slings not going to do much as long as Creator is in position, and we kind of have just stabilized from here. Lots of attacks going both ways, and it looks, I feel like Creator is in a bit of a better spot. You know, he is getting the more and more Archons out of the map. He's adding even those 2 more robotics facilities to the map, adding more gateways, and still even got these Phoenixes on the map to do some harassment here. And he knows what the composition now is of Losira. It's basically just Lurkers, Hydras, and Lings. So as long as he can make that composition with the charge slots, with the Immortals and the Archons, he should be okay.
It looks like he wants to, remake those important robos, first of all, because he lost both of those in the earlier fight. This Nidus gets seen immediately, warps in DTs once more for the defense. This overcharge is going to defend the 4th base. I don't think this Nidus is going to even unload a unit. Down it goes. One Ling.
One poor Ling comes out and gets sliced by a DT.
He tried to put changelings in the Nidus. I guess they can't go in there. I don't know how that works, but this Robo's positioning here is also going to have faster reinforcements for his Immortals coming out. He's going to do this without Disruptor Tech. He's doing it, like you said, totally classic mass Immortal style.
Yeah, mass Immortal, mass Archon, and there are only 9 Lurkers out of the map. It looks like he's making one more right now to go to a total of 10. But as long as Creator can add in a bunch of Zealots to tank the initial attack, he should be in a good place to attack against these Lurkers.
Yeah, the barrier control is going to be important, the splits. But we've seen just overwhelming amounts of Immortals can break those lines so easily if you control them properly. And Creator, very well known for his control. Not so much with his observers, but maybe that was the plan with the Nidus all along. For those of you guys who have been watching StarCraft 2 in Korea for a long time, you know Creator's thing he's known for him in the Korean scene and in the foreign scene is his losing of his observers, flying them into spore crawlers, turrets, etc. So we do see he's positioning himself to take, looks like an aggressive 5th base here. Interesting position. I guess it's going to allow him to attack and defend. While he's transitioning to Tempest, Psystorm, he's going to have +3. Losira only has +2 for his Lurkers. And Losira is double expanding to the bottom right of the map currently.
Yeah, and this is another hard part of defending on this map. You do have your 4th base all the way over here to the right for Losira, but there can be easy attacks from the Protoss who are defending their 4th base to go straight to your 3rd.
Like these DTs right now coming over here. Looks like Losira is just going to let the bases go and go for a full-on attack. If he gets into a good position here, could get him back in this game. He's brought Overseers this time, starts to stifle his burrows.
Yeah, but look at this nice tag here, nice revelation by the Oracle. These Lurkers are going to be seen, and the army of Creators coming from behind is going to cut off a bunch of these reinforcements. Looks like a couple of Lurkers can go down.
A really good position here for these Lurkers and Hydras. It's going to be hard for Creator to engage up his own ramp, and his army's split right now. These Hydras are going to fight half the army, but here comes the rest from the right side. He brings them back.
But that's a lot of Lurkers, a lot of Hydras too on the ramp, but look at this, getting the full surround here. His Creator cleans up everything.
Those units were just too stacked up, so much AoE damage on the Archons, and the surround was real. Even though he caught part of Creator's army, he barriered immediately, joined up the rest, and it was basically a flank that Losira put himself into. Yeah. 17 Hydras on the way, but he doesn't have enough to defend. He's going to try to counterattack to buy time.
I mean, that's an interesting strategy, but that's basically all he's got for now until these Hydras do come out. But only 15 Hydras against the army of Creator right now is not enough.
Lings don't have any upgrades besides speed, by the way, so you see the Lings, when they fight the Zealots, have a big problem because Zealots have +3. An evacuation of this base. Lurkers are being canceled here, and it looks like Creator is going to give us yet another upset, Valdez, here.
I don't know what's going on, man. Everything is wrong. It's like opposite week here at Pro League.
He's got Storm as well for any of these Hydras and Lurkers he can get his hands on. Nidus is going to go down. More Warpins here right in the face of Losira. So many Immortals here. And this game is over. Looks like he's about to type out. He can't come to terms with it, but there it is. GG.
Creator brings the 2nd win here for Jin Air. And another big upset. Trap and Creator. These 2 Protosses for Jin are able to bring 2 big upsets and give them the massive lead in this series.
And it's possible that if we see the next match go to Jin Air, we won't even get to see that Maru Stats game that everyone is looking forward to. Oh, wow. That was a huge win here for Creator. Puts them on 1-1, but you take a win like this, where you win this scrappy game where crazy things are happening, and you got Nidus Lurkers in your main, you're still able to keep it together, defend, and win a solid game like that, engaging its Lurkers perfectly multiple times. I think Jin Air goes, okay, we want to use this player more often in upcoming matches.
Yeah. And you think about like the health of certain teams, like looking at CJ recently, really not doing good. Lost to Coach Park, you know, you can say what you want. Things are not going well over there. The exact opposite is true of Jin Air. They're having guys like Trap and Creator come out against KT Rolster and take 2 massive wins. they're not even using their big guns yet. Like, where is SOS? Where's Maru, right?
Yeah.
These guys still haven't even come out and played yet, and they're up 2-0.
They picked up a new player in Hyun, who's a great, talented player who, because of the WCS changes, is kind of forced to stay back in Korea now. He's not really able to travel. But they're like, you know what? You haven't played that many games in Korea. Your career hasn't been that successful in individual leagues, but we want you on Pro League. He was a monster when he was on TSL and the GSTL. And he's another player they haven't used today, haven't used him last week either. But Jin Air, healthiest team right now, the most growth by far, I have to agree with you.
Guys, we're going to jump into Zest versus Rogue after a quick commercial break. Stay tuned.